Lisa Simpson is supposed to be the heart of The Simpsons. She's smart, compassionate, and morally grounded in a family of lovable disasters. She's the voice of reason in a town full of idiots. On paper, she should be the easiest character to like. So why do so many fans actively dislike her? Why does Lisa Simpson, more than almost any other character, inspire genuine frustration from viewers who've watched the show for decades? Let's start with Lisa the Vegetarian from season 7. This is the episode where Lisa visits a petting zoo, bonds with a lamb, and decides to stop eating meat.
Come on, eat the can! Come on!
It's a reasonable character choice. Lisa's compassionate, and it makes sense she'd have a moral awakening about animal rights. The problem isn't that Lisa becomes a vegetarian, the problem is how she goes about it. Lisa immediately becomes insufferable. She lectures her family at dinner, refuses to let anyone else make their own choices, and when Homer throws a barbecue, she actively sabotages it.
I made enough gazpacho for all!
I don't like gazpacho.
She's so determined to make a point that she pushes a whole pig roast down a hill, ruining the party Homer worked hard to organize. Yes, Homer was being dismissive of her beliefs, but her response is disproportionate and cruel. She doesn't just stand up for herself, she punishes everyone around her for not instantly agreeing with her. The episode wants us to see Lisa as brave for standing by her convictions, and there's a version of this story that works, but the execution makes her look self-righteous and mean. Homer wasn't trying to hurt her. He just wanted to enjoy his barbecue. And instead of finding common ground or accepting that people are allowed to eat meat, even if she doesn't, Lisa destroys his event out of spite. The episode ends with Lisa meeting Apu, Paul, and Linda McCartney, who validate her choice and tell her it's okay to be different. That's fine, but it doesn't address the fact that she treated her family terribly to get there. This is where a lot of fans started noticing a pattern. Lisa wasn't just standing up for what she believed in. She was being preachy, judgmental, and unwilling to accept that other people might see things differently. And this wasn't a one-time thing. Which brings us to Lisa the Iconoclast from season 7, an episode that should have worked, but somehow made Lisa even more annoying. The setup is simple. Springfield is celebrating its bicentennial, and Lisa discovers that town founder Jebediah Springfield was actually a murderous pirate named Hans Sprungfeld.
I have not always been known as Jebediah Springfield. Until 1796, I was Hans Sprungfeld, murderous pirate, and the half-wits of this town will never learn the truth.
She has historical evidence, and she's technically correct. But once again, Lisa's need to be right overrides everything else. She spends the entire episode trying to convince people that their town hero was a fraud, even though it's clear no one wants to hear it. The town is excited about the celebration. They're happy. But Lisa can't let it go. She's so obsessed with the truth that she doesn't stop to consider whether exposing Jebediah will actually do any good. At the end of the episode, she finds even more evidence that confirms she was right, but she decides not to reveal it because she realizes the myth matters more than the truth. That should be a moment of growth.
Jebediah Springfield was... Jebediah was... Great!
Lisa learns that sometimes being right isn't the most important thing, but it feels hollow because she spent the whole episode being insufferable about it first. She exhausted everyone around her, caused unnecessary conflict, and only backed down at the last second. The episode wants us to admire her restraint, but all it does is highlight how exhausting her self-righteousness can be. She had to be dragged kicking and screaming to the conclusion that maybe people are allowed to have their harmless beliefs, even if they're not technically accurate. Fans noticed this too. Lisa wasn't learning lessons. She was being validated for being difficult and then making a token gesture of humility at the end. It was starting to feel like the show didn't know how to write her without making her a preachy scold. Then we get to Lisa the Tree Hugger from season 12, and this is where things get worse. Lisa meets Jesse Grass, a radical environmentalist, and immediately develops a crush on him. To impress him, she chains herself to a tree that's scheduled to be cut down, but then she gets bored and leaves, assuming someone will notice and stop the logging. They don't. The tree gets cut down anyway, and everyone thinks Lisa is still chained to it. She's assumed dead, and instead of immediately correcting the mistake, Lisa lets it happen because she enjoys the attention. Let's be clear about what's happening here. Lisa is so desperate for validation that she allows her family and the entire town to believe she's dead. She attends her own memorial, listens to people mourn her and says nothing. It's selfish, dishonest, and completely out of character for someone who's supposed to be morally superior. When she finally reveals she's alive, no one is angry. The episode treats it like a quirky misunderstanding, but it's not. It's Lisa lying for personal gain and facing zero consequences. This episode crystallized something fans had been feeling for a while. Lisa wasn't just preachy, she was a hypocrite. She'd lecture everyone about doing the right thing, but the moment it was inconvenient or didn't serve her interests, she'd abandon her principles, and the show would let her get away with it because she's Lisa, and Lisa is supposed to be the good one. That double standard got old fast. But if you think that's bad, we need to talk about Bart vs. Lisa vs. the third grade from season 14. This episode has Bart and Lisa placed in the same third grade class after both of them perform poorly on standardized tests. The setup is fine. Putting Bart and Lisa in direct competition should be interesting, but the episode makes Lisa insufferable in a new way. She's not preachy here, she's just mean.
Get out!
Lisa constantly belittles Bart, refusing to work with him and actively sabotaging their partnership because she's embarrassed to be in the same class as him. When they're forced to work together on a project, she refuses to compromise or acknowledge that Bart might have good ideas. She treats him like he's worthless, and the episode plays it like she's justified because Bart is the underachiever, but he's her brother, and she's supposed to be the compassionate one. The worst part is that the episode doesn't call her out for it. Bart is portrayed as the problem for not meeting her standards, even though Lisa is the one being cruel. By the end, they're separated back into their original grades and nothing is resolved. Lisa doesn't apologize. She doesn't grow. She just goes back to feeling superior, and the show treats that as a happy ending. This is the episode where fans started asking, why does Lisa get away with this? She's mean to her brother, refuses to see him as an equal, and faces no consequences. If Bart had treated Lisa that way, the episode would have ended with him learning a lesson. But because it's Lisa, the show lets it slide. That inconsistency is what made her so frustrating. The rules didn't apply to her, and the audience could tell. And then we have Lisa Goes Gaga from season 23, which is widely considered one of the worst episodes in the entire series. Lady Gaga comes to Springfield, and Lisa is depressed because a social media poll ranked her as the least popular kid in school.
Lisa Simpson.
What? Least popular? I gotta go.
Lady Gaga decides to make it her personal mission to cheer Lisa up, and what follows is 22 minutes of Lisa being coddled, validated, and told she's special by a global superstar. The problem isn't that Lisa is sad, the problem is that the episode treats her sadness like it's the most important thing in the world. Lady Gaga derails her entire tour to focus on one 8-year-old girl who's having a bad week. The episode wants us to see this as heartwarming, but it just feels indulgent. Lisa isn't dealing with a real crisis. She's upset because kids at school don't like her, which is a normal childhood experience. But the show acts like she's uniquely tortured and deserves special treatment because she's Lisa Simpson. What makes this episode so frustrating is that it strips away any remaining relatability Lisa had. She's not the underdog anymore. She's the character who gets celebrity guest stars to tell her she's amazing. She's not fighting for what's right or standing up to injustice. She's just sad, and the universe bends over backward to make her feel better. Fans hated it because it confirmed what they'd been feeling for years. Lisa wasn't a character anymore. She was a mouthpiece for the writer's ideas, and when she wasn't lecturing people, she was being rewarded for existing. So why does nobody like Lisa Simpson? It's not because she's smart or because she cares about things. It's because the writers forgot how to make her human. Early Lisa was relatable. She struggled, she failed, she learned. But over time, she became a character who was always right, always validated, and never truly held accountable. She could be preachy, judgmental, selfish, and mean, and the show would still treat her like the moral center of the family. The frustrating part is that Lisa has the potential to be great. When the show lets her be vulnerable, when it lets her make mistakes and grow from them, she works. But too often, the writers use her as a vehicle for their own politics or moral lessons, and in doing so, they strip away the flaws that made her interesting. She stops being a character and becomes a lecture, and no one likes being lectured, especially not by an 8-year-old cartoon character who never faces real consequences. Is Lisa Simpson truly unlikable? No, but she's been written in ways that make her hard to root for. She's a victim of inconsistent characterization, lazy writing, and a show that forgot why people liked her in the first place. And until the show remembers how to write her as a person instead of a symbol, fans are going to keep asking the same question. Why should we like Lisa Simpson when the show won't let her earn it?